Hello friends, today the topic is preprocessor directive. I am Dr. Nitin. I would like to introduce this topic and its further parts to you. So, what is preprocessor? First of all, before preprocessor directive, we should know that what is preprocessor. So, preprocessor is a program that process our source code before it is passed to the compiler. In a program, when we want to execute it, then it goes through some of the minimum steps like pre-processing, compiling, linking, and then its execution. So in this way it goes on. So pre-processing is that foremost required and main step that is to be done, without which a program execution doesn't become successful. A preprocessor starts with preprocessor directive, and here it is designated by hash. It can be written anywhere in the program, but we usually write it in the starting, like hash include stdio.h, hash include lib maths.h, standard lib.h, hash include string.h, hash include conio.h, hash define pi value, then etc. It can be written in the lines, means instead of writing it in the starting, these preprocessor directives or preprocessor can be written in between. But what is the difference if you write it in between? If you will write it in between, then it will be applied to the rest of the code. It will not be applied to the code written previously before writing this preprocessor directive. Some other features or properties of preprocessor directives and preprocessors are that no semicolon is to be put in this. So here no semicolon is been put it. Whereas in the coding, in the main program where source code is there, we write semicolon to designate the end of the line. So why it is not required? Because if we will write it, then it will give some error. It will show you the error. How? We will see this with the help of an example where the area of a circle is calculated, then it is running the program successfully where we do not have to put semicolon. But what if we will put semicolon over here? Then it will show us the error. It will not get executed. Why? Because previously it was having the value 3.141592. Now it is having value 3.141592 semicolon, multiply by r, where the area is fixed in float, whereas it is not the required area. So what will be the solution? The solution is to write it, instead of pi r square, write it as r square pi, where it will get replaced by the value 3.141592 semicolon. Then what will be there? 3.141592 semicolon. So line get ended over here. So it doesn't make any difference after this, one or two or three semicolons are there. So that's why you can use if it is at last only. Further, more features about this preprocessor directives are that it is usually one line long, like here it is written hash include sti.h, hash include hash define by 3.1592. But what if you want if you want to write it in multiple lines, then you have to put a backslash as the last character. How? Let's see again in the previous program that if we want to run it with the same code as written previously, it is running successfully. What if we will write it as like this? Now it will run successfully? No. But what if we will put a backslash at the end of this? then again a backslash is been put over here, a complete segment at next line, then still it is giving the right output, that is the desired output. So without backslash, if you will try to write it and run it, then it will not give you the exact execution, it will give you the error. Now one more example of this is like some value is defined, some function is there having arguments and x and y, and some printf is there, means something getting printed, that can come in this line over here only, but if you want to put in next line, put a backslash so that it can pick up the value Nitin comma Ashok, Nitin the value of x in print named function, y as Ashok, then value of x Nitin, value of y Ashok, Nitin, then and then Ashok, then from India. So ultimately Nitin and Ashok from India will get printed. Now what are the types of preprocessor directives? Mainly we can classify it into two types, unconditional and conditional. In case of unconditional, it can be further categorized as object like, function line, nesting line, undef, include, error, pragma. Why? Because these do not have any condition. Whereas in case of conditional, the all the preprocessor directives having conditional statements are considered in this case, like if, elif, else, ifdef, ifndef, and wherever it is used, you have to put endif also. How, we will see later on also. These types of preprocessor directives can be further categorized or can be narrowed down, classified as macro substitution directives, file inclusion directives, compiler control directives, and miscellaneous or others, where macro substitution and file inclusion directives are unconditional, compiler control are conditional, others are not. How, we will see next. First category or first type is macro substitution directive, in which we have to put some macro, we have to substitute some macro over here. For example, hash define, then identifier, then string. Here it is the syntax of this. Now this, in this example, as we know that here void main, we usually write it, but if we want to write in place of void as say my name Nitin, in place of main as say my further subname as Goel, then instead of void main over here I can write Nitin then Goel, it will work fine. So this is macro substitution. Now it will also get executed successfully. How, you can see like here you can see that it is giving the correct output as hello, whereas we have used Nitin Goel instead of void main. So this is the macro substitution, that we have put it Nitin Goel in place of void main. Now this macro substitution can be divided further into three types. One is object like or simple, second is function like or argumented, third is nesting. First is object like or simple, where some numeric constant are given by symbolic names. Like here, the value 3.141592 is given by pi. In this program, the area and circumference of a circle is calculated by the formula area by pi r square, then circumference by 2 pi r. So area and circumference is getting calculated. What is the benefit of this? If anybody wants to have the value 3.14 only in place of 3.141592, then he needs to change the segment this only. No need to change in complete program. So that is the use of hash define macro, where simplicity is there to change one value right here, not in complete program. What are function like or argumented macro substitution, in which you are going to put instead of a constant value some function in the header files, or you can say you are going to put in the macros. How? This is the syntax: hash define identifier then function. Example is hash define square of x will be written as x into x multiplied by x. For example, the value of a is passed as 5. Square of a is means the value 5 is in past, as because the value of a is 5, it will replace by 5 into 5, answer will be 25. Now what if we will put 2 plus 3 instead of a? Here square is to be written. What if it will be there? It will give you the answer 11. Now you will think how the square can be 11. It is because it will replace the value of x by 2 plus 3, as because 2 plus 3 is written. Then again one more x by 2 plus 3, and in between the sign of multiplication. Now we know that first of all multiplication will get solved if it is in comparison to plus symbol. So first of all it will get solved. It will be 2 plus 3 into 2 is 6, then plus 3. So it will be 2 plus 6 plus 3. Ultimately it will become 11. So square of 2 plus 3 will give you 11. And you can try, if you will try to run it, then it will also run successfully as first square value is 25, second square value is 11. So by this way the result will be right. Second example is given to calculate the greater out of two numbers, that is the max out of x and y, where the values in x and y are passed as 10 and 20. So 10 and 20 will get passed. After using this ternary operator, the output will be the greater one, that is 20. So it is also replacing, using a function replacing the values and getting some output by using macro substitution. Third type is for the macro substitution nested, where as we know the value of the function of nesting, that someone is using other one in its way. For example, hash define then identifier then its value, and then further hash define new identifier will be replaced by the value using previous identifier. So here in this example you can see that m is defined by 100, then n, that is a new identifier, is using the value of old identifier by adding 10 and calculating its own value. So ultimately the result will be the value of m, that is 100, and the value of n, that is 110. So output is 210. Now what are the predefined macros? There are some of the predefined macros also, like file, line, date, time, stdc, and one more also as stdc underscore version. Here in this program you can see it can get executed easily in this way, but here it will be seen as single underscore and then single underscore after, means file is written before single underscore and after also the single underscore. Actually it is not there, it is double underscore, but it seems to be as the single underscore. Why? Because space is not given before this, or you can say after this, means not before file and written and not after file. You can also run this program. It will get run executed easily. Now what does it mean? It shows the file, that is current file in which we are working, main.c, then date, current date, that is March 25 2020, then time, current time, wherever the time can matter based upon the system time, line in which it is written like 7, then stdc, standard c, means if you are using an ASCII or ISO standard, then it will give 1. If you are not using standard compiler, then it will give you 0. Then ISO version, that is 1999 revision of this C. as it is also shown over here that the meaning of 1999-91L is that 1999 revision of C standard. In some of the cases time vary. Please check it on your own system by running it.